presentation. Lindsay.
Oh, yeah.
And he was complaining and the shop they built in one of the co-op shops in his village. And he said, I've been trying to get in touch with the chief exec of the co-operative. So I said, leave it with us. So I said to Gary, you know, contact Nick Cox. So I rang them on the Monday. No answer, so I went to see him on the Tuesday. So he said, well, can't understand that, you know, like, he said, you've got his deputy speaker. He said, it's not just that. He said, it's common courtesy. So he said, whether it's the front of house staff who haven't looked into it.
So the middle one here.
Anyway, he's going to sort that out. So quite happy.
Well, you might have done me a favour as well. I might get called earlier if you pull that one off.
Well, I did email him. Lindsay said, you know, I've done that. Well,
Sorry, all right, no worries.
Just needed to show you. Anyway, but if you need anything further, just give us a shout.
Jim, are you sitting on this one?
It's far away from him, isn't it? I'll get over here.
Distinguished guests, councillors, chief officers, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the worshipful, the Mayor of Knowsley, Councillor Jackie Harris.
Welcome everyone to the 2019 annual meeting. Can I remind everyone that all mobile phones should be turned to silent for the duration of this meeting? Can I ask all members to ensure that they use their microphones? Please note, as usual, the council will be filming this and recording this meeting. This will include people sitting in the public gallery. A copy of the film will be uploaded to the Knowsley Council and the YouTube site in due course following this meeting. I also refer to everybody in order to use the order of the papers as have been placed in front of you on each seat within the public gallery. An attendance list has been circulated for apologies to be recorded. Item 1, declarations of interest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a number of declarations of interest referenced on the order papers and these will be recorded in the minutes.
Thank you. Can I thank Councillor Walsh? Item 2. Can I invite nominations for the election of the Mayor in Knowsley 1920?
Madam Mayor, can I move that Councillor Jackie Harris is elected the Mayor of the Borough for the year 2019 and 2020?
pleasure in seconding that motion.
Thank you. In view of the motion put forward, I am now going to hand the meeting over to the Deputy Chairperson of the Cabinet, Councillor Frank Walsh, for his team.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Colleagues, it has been moved and seconded that Councillor Jackie Harris be elected Mayor of the Borough for the year 2019-2020. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
I declare that Councillor Jackie Harris be elected Mayor of Knowsley for the year 2019-2020. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Distinguished guests, councillors, chief officers, ladies and gentlemen, can I start by saying what an honour it has been to represent the Borough of Knowsley for another year. Thank you to my proposers, Councillor Morgan, my seconder, Councillor Aston, and all of my fellow members of the council for supporting this nomination. Thank you also to my daughter Beverly for being my mayoress for the past year. Bev is unable to join us for this part of the meeting today, but I wanted to thank her for her support and thank her work over the last 12 months. We've had a wonderful year and there are so many highlights, too many for me to mention today, but we have met many lovely people during the year. I'm very pleased to say that within the help we have raised approximately £23,000, with more still to come for the children charities, which, as you know, which were Breastmates Cancer Support Group, Skip and Jump Foundation. I also be given a donation to the Knowsley Care Centre. These are all very worthy causes, and I'm sure they will put up a lot of donations in the future. I'd like to thank everyone on the charity committee for their hard work and support throughout the year. I'd also like to take the opportunity to formally thank Frank Shaw Caring for the support of my chaplain over the 12 months. Finally, I'd like to thank the mayoral team who have supported me throughout the year, all of whom are very caring and credit to the council. I look forward to working with you all again this year. My mayoress for the next 12 months will be my niece Marie Ruffley. I'm sure that she will be the next mayoress for the borough, and I hope she enjoys this year just as much as Beverly did. I'm really pleased that the Reverend Jeremy Fagan, team rector of Kirby, will be my chaplain for the year. My civic mass will be circulated shortly. This year I will be supporting two organisations, which are the Lee Cooper Foundation and the Children's Air Ambulance. I hope to be able to raise as much money as possible again for this year. Colleagues, can I thank you all once again for supporting me. Item 3, local elections results. Report of the returning officers attached to this report in 3 and attendance for the members' information. Members, do you all agree and note this report?
Agreed.
Item 4, appointment of the leader of the council, Mr. Dominic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I please nominate Jayne Morgan as Leader of Council?
Councillor Jayne Aston.
I should second that motion, Madam Mayor.
Any questions or comments from the members of council? No. Is this agreed? Agreed. Thank you. The motion is carried and I declare that Councillor Jayne Morgan is the elected leader of council until the annual general meeting in 2020.
Well done.
Councillor Jayne Morgan, I understand you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much from my colleagues for your support. Our annual meeting is a good time to take stock, so I just want to spend a short time reflecting on some of the successes we have achieved last year, as well as looking forward to ahead to some of the highlights of the year to come. As always, the success of the council is not about one person, so I want to start by expressing my appreciation of my cabinet colleagues and also my thanks to those who have chaired and taken part in the various committees throughout the year. This council will achieve nothing without the hard work of elected members who are prepared to put the time and effort in to give direction to our officers. And make no mistake, colleagues, last year was another year when we took big challenges and achieved great things. It was another year of growth for Knowsley, with 840 new homes completed in the borough and over 1 million square feet of industrial development, which raised over £2 million in business rates. Without this growth, our public service provision would simply collapse. As we continue to face up to the challenge of improving secondary education, it is worth pointing out that last year we saw all our nurseries in the borough being graded as good or outstanding, all our special schools being defined as outstanding, and our Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 and early year results continue to improve at a faster rate than the national rate of improvement. As well as focusing on our young people, we're also making sure that our older people in Knowsley get the support which they need and deserve in later life. Two of the newest extra care facilities in Knowsley received their first inspections last year, and both the Watch Factory in Prescott and the Maytree Court in Kirby were graded as good. In addition, colleagues, our shared life service and supported living services have just been rated as outstanding. And of course, one major policy initiative last year was to reaffirm the council's support to our green spaces, and we announced that we would not be going forward with any plans to sell off our borough's parks. Since that announcement, we've been working with a range of partners, and we've managed to secure just under £9 million of investment for these much-loved community assets. All 18 of Knowsley Parks retained Green Flags awards last year with extremely positive feedback from the judges. Colleagues, we managed to do all that despite once again having to find savings to balance our budget. Not only that, but we also found enough savings to invest in tackling crime and disorder and antisocial behaviour, once again showing how we listen to our local communities and are prepared to adapt our priorities in line with the wishes of the local people. The challenge we face are difficult, but we believe that we can look forward to another successful year ahead, while continuing to push our economic growth plans and call for improvements in our secondary education system. I know that we are looking forward to seeing work continue on the exciting Shakespeare North development in Prescott, which is now starting to actually come out the ground. We'll also be seeing the initial plans for Huyton Village, and we'll also be doing everything we possibly can to make sure that work finally starts this year on the long-promised development in the Kirby Town Centre. Colleagues, nobody ever said that local government is easy, and it certainly isn't getting any easier, but local people have long relied on the Labour Council to stand up for them, and is that what we will continue to do for the year ahead. Thank you, colleagues.
Item 5, to the vote of thanks to our retiring members.
Thank you again.
Madam Mayor, I second this motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Colleagues, I would like to take the opportunity to recognise the valued contribution from our retiring elected members, who collectively have given over 100 years' service to the people of Knowsley and this council. They have made a valuable contribution to the borough as democratically elected representatives. We also know in this chamber the dedication and amount of hours that goes into serving our communities. And I know that their commitment and hard work has been appreciated by their political colleagues and the public. Please join me in wishing our former colleagues every success in the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is that those of thanks agreed, colleagues? Colleagues, the leaders' report has been tabled for your information. Do members agree to members' report? Councillor Jayne Aston, item 7, appointment of outside bodies.
Recommendations contained in the report, Madam Mayor.
Yes, seconded.
Madam Mayor, happy to second then.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of the council? This is agreed then. Timetable of meetings. Councillor Jayne Aston.
Happy to move the recommendations contained in the report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Happy to second them recommendations.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of the council? Is this agreed? Item 9, amendment to the Constitution. Councillor Jayne Aston, I believe you wish to move this recommendation in respect of this item.
Happy to move the recommendations contained in the report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Donnelly.
Happy to second them recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Ashton, do you wish to speak on this motion?
Not at the moment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Donnelly, do you wish to speak on this motion?
Not at the moment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak on the motion, please? Councillor Cashman.
Madam Mayor, can I move the Liberal Democrat Green amendments to the motion, please?
Councillor Kai Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I second the Green and Liberal Democrat group amendments, please?
Thank you. Councillor Carl Cashman wish to speak on and explain.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, the amendment that we've got here is simply a reflection of our belief that the council should be more open and transparent when we deal with the public and also when we ask questions of the leader of the council. I do believe that in adding this amendment, that the supplementary, I do believe that the supplementary question was added in 2016 to allow more debate in this council and to allow councillors to make a point more firmly after their initial question. Since then, Madam Mayor, unfortunately, transparency at the council seems to be following a downward trajectory. The supplementary question doesn't always get answered there and then. In fact, sometimes it doesn't get answered at all. But it is valuable. It gives us the opportunity to expand on our initial question and to bring things into the council that need that expansion in terms of what's happening in our local community. It would be our hope, Madam Mayor, that we could keep the supplementary question and find a way to publicise the answers either on the council website or at the next council meeting on the agenda. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cashman. Councillor Kai Taylor wishes to speak.
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to second the amendments to the original proposal. To be clear, the reason why we've put this forward is we believe that the proposal is nothing short of an attempt by certain factions within the council to infringe on our duty as opposition councillors to scrutinise and question the leadership of Cabinet. To the Labour Group, the opportunity to ask questions is usually a chance to allow members to indulge in self-praise and congratulations. As the opposition, however, this is our chance to ask the lead questions, follow-up questions, and hope for candid and honest replies. Now, admittedly, our questions are usually met with pre-rehearsed, often scripted responses, which often avoids the question in its entirety.
However, due to the supplementary question, on occasions, opposition members have been able to get useful information regarding various aspects of council policy or actions. To many members of the public, scrapping the supplementary question will appear to be an aggressive form of censorship, another attempt to prevent members of the public from being able to hold their elected representatives to account. As the scheme of members' allowances show, the leader and cabinet members are well reimbursed on the expectation that they play an active role in how the council delivers in their portfolio areas. Therefore, I do not believe that it is too much to ask that those members be open to scrutiny and challenge from their elected colleagues and members of the public. Finally, to the councillors who suggested this proposal, I would ask what you believe the council has to hide. Why, in a time when public trust in elected representatives is an all-time low, why do we feel it's appropriate to limit the systems and checks that we have as a council to properly scrutinise and question the leadership? In summary, Madam Mayor, this proposal is the opposite to what people want. We are constantly being told by our residents that they want more balance, they want more constructive challenge, and I would hope that the Labour Group would accept that scrutiny and opposition is healthy and beneficial to the democratic council. As such, I would urge all members to back our amendment to the proposal. Thank you.
Other members who wish to speak on this? Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I first got elected to this council in 1999, and you know, as I've seen the opposition group go from 1 to 2 to 16, back down to 0, and again it seems to be on the rise. But it is a shame that at an AGM, the ruling group tend to use it to move the goalposts, to make it more difficult for the opposition to actually make their point and get their representation across during the council year. So I fully support this amendment, and would just say to the Labour group that, you know, they've nothing to fear, and that openness and transparency in front of the public is a good thing, and you know, what we don't want to see is less transparency and a closed meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Donnelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Quite interesting to hear from the Liberal Democrats and the Greens on this. Considering they've had an opportunity to put questions, which they have, which have been open, which have been responded to openly and with all candour, no one's lied, no one's moved the goalposts, no one's tried to misinform you. My colleagues in Cabinet and the leader have all answered your questions. Now, you're talking about the supplementary questions. Not one of you have actually used it in the last year. Well, Carl, you had an opportunity to use it last time, you didn't use it. Kai, you've had an opportunity, you haven't used it. Also, the members of the public have had an opportunity to ask questions. We've only had a small number of questions from the public, and they chose not to use the supplementary questions. This amendment doesn't stop anyone in this council chamber or members of the public put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions to this council. We are happy to answer any of the questions that the opposition or any of our members or any members of the public want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Can I ask Councillor Jayne Aston, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I feel I must respond to the amendment put forward by our opposition groups, or should I say group. I wonder, Madam Mayor, are we witnessing the birth of a new coalition? Because I know how fond the Lib Dems are of coalitions. But I digress, Madam Mayor. I just want to come back, before I go into the reasons for our amendment today, the Labour Group, Ruling Group amendment. I'm a bit confused. I can't see anywhere on our amendment where we're advocating closed meetings. So maybe Councillor Smith can point that out to me at a later stage in the debate, but I clearly can't see it on the paper that I have. Anyway, the reason for our proposal to remove supplementary questions from the council procedure rules is simply because they don't actually work. When this was added to the Constitution, as the council has already alluded to, in 2016, the intention was to allow a follow-up question if the original question had not been satisfactorily answered. What we've seen in the last 3 years, however, is that when this provision was used, which is not that often to be honest, it was not used in the way it was intended. Often the supplementary question was simply asked for the sake of it. As the information had already been covered in the original questions, some of my colleagues had to reiterate the answer that they'd initially given. So, a bit of a pointless question to be honest. We are definitely not trying to stifle debate, and I really do think that our opposition groups or group, whichever way it works out throughout the year, really do need to calm down a little bit. This is simply to remove something that isn't working, and we often do that in our constitution. We review it every year at the AGM, and when things don't work and they need to be tweaked, we tweak them, and this is a tweak because it simply isn't being used the way it should be. Therefore, Madam Mayor, I would ask Council to support the original motion and reject the amendment moved by the Liberal Democrat and Green Group, or should I say groups. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ashton. I will now put the amendment as proposed by Councillor Cashman to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment, please shout.
Madam Mayor, can we have our votes recorded against, please?
Can I just clarify how many want the votes recorded against?
How many?
Put your hands up if you want your vote against recorded.
She's gone the wrong way.
It was the amendment that was proposed by yourself.
She said amendment, and that's where it's from, amendment.
Proposed by yourself.
All those in favour of the amendment, please.
The original one.
No, prepared by Carl. The opposition amendment.
Yeah. Circles. Yeah. All those in favour of the amendment, you looking down there? Yeah. Okay. All those against the amendment? Would anybody like to abstain? Okay. Yeah.
So just to clarify, all those who voted in favour of that amendment want their vote recorded in the minutes. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. The amendment has been lost. I will now retain the original motion as proposed by Councillor Ashton. Are there any further comments, questions from the members who have not already spoken on the original motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I would just add that in the course of the last 3 years, what we've seen from the Labour Party is originally we had a little bit of ground given on the supplementary question, and then I think it was a year later we had a motion to ban people from the council if they were unruly. So we have seen transparency dip quite regularly in the last few years, to be honest. And in terms of coalitions, you just got into coalition with UKIP and Basildon, so I wouldn't say much about that.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Forgive me, Councillor Cashman, but I didn't come here to be spoken to by unruly, as you refer to the members, being told that they hope we get cancer, they hope we do this, they hope we do that. I don't come here for that. Those were the people, some of those comments were made by some of the people that were banned, and that's why they were banned. So forgive me if you're willing to put up with that sort of behaviour. That says more about you than it does about anybody else. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillor Cashman, I was chair of that meeting when that happened. They was not banned. They were asked to sign, and I'm sure you'll agree, they were asked to sign a declaration that they would not cause problems in the chamber for the route. It was so loud and unruly, and that was the name. If they'd have signed that agreement, they would have been allowed back into the council. So actually, they was not banned. They banned themselves by not signing their letter. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anybody else wish to speak? Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In my opinion, the hostile response that was received to that amendment says it all. The supplementary question is working. If it wasn't working, why not leave it in? It doesn't take up any amount of time if no one has a supplementary question. In response to the fact that we don't always use the supplementary question, take that as credit that the question was sufficiently answered in the first instance and we didn't feel the need to ask a supplementary question. The fact is, if, and it does happen on quite often, we don't feel our original question was answered and instead we get a kind of pre-rehearsed party political broadcast thrown at us, we should have maintained the right to ask a follow-up question and try and get some sort of answers as the lead or the cabinet member. The fact that everyone's so defensive or want to get rid of it says to us and says to the members of the public that will be watching this and will be reading about this, you know, in the newsletters or newspapers, whatever you see it in. It says that the council does have something to hide. They are worried about this. They are worried about this extra check and this extra amount of scrutiny that they subject themselves to. So I think by the various councillors claiming that this is just them tidying up the constitution, I think it's absolutely false. And I think what this is them limiting the amount of scrutiny that they're willing to subject themselves to from elected members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I ask Councillor Cashman, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Referring to people being marked in this chamber, you'll notice where I'm sat now. One tier behind, I used to sit there, along with other colleagues. On that particular night, when the Mayor was conducting that meeting, I was attacked from the public gallery in there. I was hit on the back of the head a number of times. Those people were asked to leave the room or sign a declaration of good behaviour. This was refused. Now, we as a council have had to move ourselves out of harm's way to run a meeting. That meeting was abandoned that night, has to be reconvened. And if these are the people that Councillor Cashman wants in this chamber, well, it's not what I want. And if people want the scrutiny to be heard, if some of the opposition members would attend scrutiny meetings, which if you look at their attendance record, it's absolutely abysmal. And these are the people who are supposed to represent their voters. So either attend the meetings, because we have more than one occasion, Councillor Smith, you was asked by one of our members, they would love to see you have a scrutiny meeting. I mean, Councillor Cashman, Economic Growth and Prosperity, you attended that meeting once last year. So, get your house in order first before you come to us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no further comments or questions, can I ask Councillor Ashton?
Well, there is, Madam Mayor.
Right, can you put your question forward?
Excuse me, Councillor Leighton. I've attended all the scrutiny committees that I was on. I'd just like to say that I did attend them all. Yeah. I'm sure the Carl and Ian did as well.
We have a number of meetings over the years, so we need to look at the register. I can't debate over that. The register there to show who attends and who apologises. If there are no further questions, can I ask for Councillor Ashton, please?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I haven't got much else to add to my seemingly hostile comments earlier on. Needless to say, it's generated debate here today. So it doesn't look like we're scared of any debate in the chamber. We've had a nice, healthy debate. Some people have accused me of being hostile, but I'll live with that. But it's a healthy debate. So nobody is stifling anything. The opportunity is there in the Constitution for the opposition party or parties to ask questions of the Cabinet and the Leader, and that will continue. Of course, there has to be notice. Madam Mayor, there has to be rules. I'm sorry, it can't be a free-for-all. You know, you're now an elected member. You have to run by a constitution. We're not in a residence group. This has to be run properly and to the rules. And that's why we have a constitution. So, really nothing further to add, except to urge Council to support the Labour Group's amendment to the Constitution this year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I will now put the original motion as proposed by Councillor Jayne Aston to the vote.
Madam Mayor, can we have our votes recorded against that motion, please?
Yes. All those in favour? Thank you. All those against? Would anybody like to abstain? The original motion is carried. Thank you. Item 10, Councillor's presentation on the outside body. Councillor Jayne Aston.
Happy to move the recommendations contained in the report, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Knowsley.
Happy to second them recommendations, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the members of the council? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think perhaps here one improvement in terms of transparency would be to have the Labour Party's attendances at these outside bodies in front of us, so we can see just how good the Labour Party are at attending meetings. Because from what I know, they're hardly hear anything. You know, you can hardly get a call.
Councillor Don. Thank you for that, Councillor Smith. Councillor Knowsley. John.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got no issue with that at all. I'm happy to supply that. But as long as that goes to the opposition, because I think one of our colleagues who's sitting next to you, who was on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, chairing the Overview and Scrutiny Committee of the Liverpool City Region, was near enough dragged to the meeting, or he would have fell below the rules. So we're happy, as long as all the opposition are happy to do it. We're quite happy. We'll also report all the people attending our committee meetings, our scrutiny committees. We're absolutely happy to do that. But to be open and honest with you, it's already public record. Once again, you need to go and check the website where all this information is already held. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. Is there any further questions, comments from Council? No. Is that agreed? Agreed. Item 11. Councillor Jane Morgan.
Happy to second the recommendations contained in the report.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Colleagues, the Labour Group resolution is in front of you today, and it is pretty much straightforward, but I just wanted to say a few words to explain our proposal. First, we are proposing that the special responsibility allowance for the Leader of the Opposition should be split equally between the two opposition groups, which are unequally balanced. Importantly, this approach means that no funding will need to be taken away from the council service to pay for additional members' allowances. As we have seen many times in this council chamber, the two current opposition groups regularly act as a single opposition. They have agreed not to stand for the election in the same wards, as we found out most recently in the run-up to the local elections, and they regularly support each other's motions and amendments. So there's no reason to expect them to change that approach. In fact, only today in this chamber we've seen them working together. So our proposal simply recognises and it keeps the costs down. Secondly, the Labour Group recently made a submission to the Independent Remunerational Panel with regard to introducing a voluntary policy within the scheme of a member's allowances around parental leave. A recent analysis found out that only 34% of our councillors in England are women. there is obviously still a long way to go in achieving equality and diversity across the country, and I'm proud that our group is keeping these issues at the forefront of our thinking. As councillors, we all need to work to remove any barriers which prevent people from coming forward to represent their local communities. And I'm not just talking about gender balance, I'm also talking about councillors from any protected characteristic group. On that subject, colleagues, I was disgusted to hear about abuse directed at a disabled member of Hayward Town Council at a meeting last night. Colleagues, regardless of your political view, it should be clear to us all that such abuse should not be tolerated, and I call up anybody who witnessed that behaviour to do the right thing and report the people behind it to Merseyside Police. Absolutely disgusting, colleagues, from what I've seen, and I hope the police investigate it and people are taken to task on it. Returning to the issue of the parental leave, I'm pleased to say that the independent remuneration panel welcomed the submission by the Labour Group as a significant step forward and fully supported our direction of travel. Introducing a parental leave policy is a step towards encouraging a wider range of people to become councillors, and also encourages any existing councillors who may want to start a family to remain as councillors. I hope that you will support our resolution. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Jayne Aston, do you wish to speak on this motion?
Not at the moment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak on this motion, please? Councillor Cashman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I move the amendment to that motion, please?
Okay, Councillor Cashman, understand you wish to move it. Have you got a second for this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I second that amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Cashman, do you wish to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to start off, I'd much rather be in a partnership with a progressive party rather than a party like UKIP in Basildon, or working with the Tories in central government, so there you go. Madam Mayor, when I read the Labour resolution, I thought it had been written by when I read the Labour resolution, I thought it had been written by a 5-year-old child, not a group of people who are supposed to run a local authority, and maybe that's even unfair to 5-year-old children. I think this kind of childishness is probably born out of the inability to see how people can work together for the betterment of their community, and especially it must be difficult being in a party that can't even work together within itself, never mind with members of other political parties. Madam Mayor, the amendment today is simply proposed to make the council appear more grown up and less like petulant children. I would urge Labour members to support this amendment.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, happy to second this amendment to the original scheme that's been put forward. After I'm slightly disappointed to see that a rather sour grapes comment has found its way into a council document, but here we are. We agree with the scheme of members' allowances as they've been set out, particularly over parental leave. Quite happy to see that included. Not that I'm planning on having a child anytime soon, but it's good to see that those allocations are being put in place. In terms of some of the content that's been put in that, the Green Party are about doing things differently. As this joint motion suggests, we're more than capable of working with the Liberal Democrat group. Nevertheless, let me be clear, if we believe the policy is beneficial to our community, or that a suggestion or proposal by any group in this chamber would improve Knowsley as a place to live, work or study, then we'd be more than happy to support that, regardless of whichever political side wants to debate it. What isn't healthy to Knowsley as a borough is the constant bickering and the constant attacks at two groups working together on certain issues that they believe closely in. We've always remained open to work with any group. We now have some independents on the council. We've got the Labour group, and we remain open. We remain, to quote Councillor Morgan's favourite topic, Knowsley better together. We're always happy to work together with any parties. We have done so on various different things. So, like I said, if the ball's in their court, really, if they wish to work together on any issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other members wish to speak? Councillor Ashton.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Now who's rattled? I mean, any need for the comments, Madam Mayor? They were very offensive comments, and disappointing really to come from the joint leader of the opposition. There's nothing wrong with the amendment, I believe, put forward by the Labour group, particularly in that we've been asked to be open and transparent. Well, we're being open and transparent, and we're giving clarification for the reasons why we are putting forward that we should split the leader of the opposition's allowance. Being open and transparent, that's what we were being accused of not being only a few moments ago, earlier on. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Madam Mayor. It backs up what we've already said. We are open and transparent. We're happy to answer our questions that have been asked of us in the past. And this is clarifying the issue for the residents of Knowsley as to why we've put forward this resolution. So I'd urge my colleagues in the Labour group to support the original amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Steff O'Keeffe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Irony truly is dead in here tonight with Councillor Cashman saying that we're behaving like children while behaving like a child, and Councillor Taylor saying that we're constantly swiping at the opposition while swiping at us. So it's just that point really. Also to pick up on the Councillor Taylor's comment about the Greens liking to do things differently, but being really eager to jump into bed with Liberal Democrats who are, you know, part of the reason why we're having to implement a lot of the cuts that we're having to, well, that they are the reason why we're having to implement a lot of the cuts that we're having to implement. Doesn't feel different, doesn't look different, pretty much the same to me, just with a different rosette on it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Keeffe. Any further members wish to speak? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wrote that resolution actually, so I did tell you that our education in the junior schools was at a decent standard for a 5-year-old, so I'm glad you support me on that. But it is typical because all what's in there is a fact, and we've seen that today working together. So that's the reason why it's in there. The facts are there to support that we split the responsibility allowance between the two parties, or the two groups, or the group leaders, whatever you want to call them. I'll also welcome Councillor Taylor's comments that he would like to work with the Labour group. And colleagues, we'll have to remember now, let's see how far he will go and support us throughout the year in any of our proposals or ideas, or will he just jump straight in bed with the Liberal Democrats? So I welcome the proposals by Councillor Taylor, but I won't hold my breath on them because I don't think he will support us, even when we're going in the right direction of what's right for the residents. So I'd like to move our motion, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now put the amendment as proposed by Councillor Cashman to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment, vote to be taken now. Okay. All those against the amendment, would anybody like to abstain? No. Thank you. The amendment has been lost. I will now return to the original motion and proposed by Councillor Graham Morgan. Are there any further comments or questions from members who have not already spoken on the original motion? If there are no further comments or amendments, can I ask Councillor Graham Morgan, as the mover of the original motion, would like to add anything further before I put the original motion to the vote? Councillor Morgan.
Nothing further, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I will now put the original motion as proposed by Councillor Graham Morgan to the vote. All those in favour? Are you at the end of vote or not? You don't know. Okay. All those against the vote to vote now. Would anybody like to abstain? The original motion is carried. Item 12. Are there any the meetings of the council held on the 20th of March 2019 agreed as the council record. Item 13, any other items? I have no further items of urgent nature and I declare the annual meeting closed. Members are asked to move to the agenda and papers for the special meeting of the committee. Item 1, appointment of chairperson and vice chairperson.
Happy to move the recommendations contained in the report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Donnelly.
Happy to second them recommendations, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from members of the council? Is that agreed? Agreed. Colleagues, there are no further items of business. Can I thank you all for your attendance and now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Please be upstanding for the Mayor.
Drop it off.